From this lecture onwards, we'll discuss the frequency domain analysis of the signal, frequency domain analysis of the signals and system. And for that, we can use different tools. One of the main tool that is used for the frequency domain analysis is the Fourier analysis. When coming to the Fourier analysis, there are different types of concept we will use. Fourier series for continuous time signal. Usually, we will indicate as continuous time Fourier series, and for discrete time signal, we will apply discrete time Fourier series. And for these two concepts are mainly used for the periodic signals, and continuous time Fourier transform and discrete time Fourier transforms are mainly we will apply for aperiodic signals. Okay, it's not compulsory that we is only for a periodic. We can also apply for periodic signals, but mainly the transforms are used for periodic signals and the series for periodic signals. And in this particular lecture, we will mainly discuss the continuous time Fourier transform, the basic equations, and we will discuss some example questions. Okay. Now we'll discuss the basic equations of continuous time Fourier transform. So coming to the Fourier transform equation is normally known as Fourier transform pair, and in Fourier transform pair actually two equations, and the usual notation which we follow in this particular lecture series is the Fourier transform or Fourier integral of x of t is represented by x of j omega. Okay. That is a Fourier transform of signal x of t can be calculated by using the formula integral minus infinity to infinity x of t into e raised to minus j indicating the imaginary time. Sometimes in max in mathematics textbook they will use I, but in mostly in electronics textbook they will use j to because we will use I for the current indication, so that's why we will use another letter j and omega t, and here the integration variable is t, so we'll write dt. And one important thing here you can see this signal is represented by small x of t, okay, lowercase letter, and the transform is represented by uppercase letter x of j omega, okay, which indicates a complex frequency. So x of j omega is entirely different function, not simply replacing x of t with x of j omega. This is not true. Okay, so always make sure that when you represent the Fourier transform, these two notations. Okay, normally signals are in time domain will represent by using lowercase, and uppercase letter we will use for representing the frequency domain or Fourier domain signal. Okay, so don't write the notations like this. It's not simply replacing g with j omega. Okay, it's not like that. It's entirely different function. So we can use any other letter that like g of j omega or y of j omega, but to get some indication that the signal x, we'll use the same letters with lowercase and uppercase. Okay, so the capital X of j omega is actually indicating Fourier transform. And another important point regarding this Fourier transform equation or the notations, when you refer a different textbook, the notation will be slightly different. In some textbook, instead of omega, they will use ohm also. Okay, this simple. And in some textbook, they will not use this j term. Simply, they will write x of omega or x of ohm. In some other textbook, see here the omega is angular frequency. Sometimes they will indicate the representation in terms of simply f. Okay, all they can use x of jf also. Okay, so all these notations represent the same thing. uh, don't confuse with the notations. So we will prefer the first notation, that is x of j omega. It can be x of j ohm, sometimes x of omega, x of ohm, x of f, and x of jf, etc. So when you write in terms of x of f, okay, in the normal frequency, x of f, see the notations, integral minus infinity to infinity, x of t e raised to minus j, omega means it's 2 pi f into t dt. Okay, and when you know this Fourier transform of a signal, we can also find out the x of t. That is known as the inverse Fourier transform. Assume that we know x of j omega, then we need to find the signal x of t. That's why the Fourier transform is inversible or invertible. So if you know x of j omega, you can calculate x of t by using this formula. It's 1 by 2 pi integral minus infinity to infinity x of j omega e raised to j omega t d omega. And here is very important, in the Fourier transform we will use minus here, okay, and in inverse there is no minus. And in the Fourier transform the variable is t. Now we are integrating with respect to omega because in the frequency domain. So x of j omega into e raised to j omega t d omega. And here you can see an extra term 1 by 2 pi. When you refer the mathematical textbook, sometimes the sign may be different. In forward they will use plus, and inverse they will use minus. Just don't get confused. In signal sun system we will follow this particular pattern. X of j omega is equal to integral minus infinity to infinity x of t raised to minus j omega t dt, and inverse Fourier transform as small x of t is equal to 1 by 2 pi integral minus infinity to infinity capital X of j omega. That's a Fourier transform e raised to j omega t d omega. So make sure that for a forward transform we are using minus, and inverse we are not using this e raised to minus. Okay, and if you represent the signal in normal frequency, not in angular, then the formula there is a slight difference. Uh, you can write x of f into e raised to j 2 pi f t, and in place of omega you will write df. Okay, and you can see there is no 1 by 2 pi if you represent in terms of f, because omega you can write 2 pi f, and 2 pi will be cancelled. So that's why when you write the inverse Fourier transform in terms of f, there will not be any uh, 1 by 2 pi. Okay, so make sure that you are comfortable with the terms in the equation. Now we'll move to the next point. There is a convergence of Fourier transform, or we can call it as the Fourier transform X is when it satisfies the digital condition. And one more point, this is the sufficient condition and not necessary. Okay, not necessary. I will tell you why it is like that. It's a sufficient condition for the convergence of x of j omega, or we can call that we can use this particular equation to evaluate the Fourier transform only when it satisfies the following condition. The conditions are known as Bessel condition, and the first point is x of t is absolutely integrable. Okay. So the first point is very important when you do the problems. So in this particular equation, if x of t is not integrable, means if you evaluate this integral, you will get infinity. Okay, that's why it's a sufficient condition to find the Fourier transform. And another point, x of t has a finite number of maximas and minimas any finite interval. So the amplitude can be very in a random way, but there should be a finite interval. Then only we can define that particular signal. Similarly, the discontinuities. So when you take any interval, the discontinuity should be finite. Uh, so if the signal is absolutely integrable, in most of the cases we can find the Fourier transform. And initially I mentioned that the condition is sufficient condition but not necessary, means the Dirichlet conditions will not satisfy for some signals, but the Fourier transform of such signal exists. Okay, if Dirichlet condition satisfies, then it guarantees that the existence of Fourier transform. Then definitely we can say that Fourier transform exists. But if the Dirichlet condition do not satisfy, means in some cases, uh, but the Fourier transform exists. Okay, so that's why he said if the condition satisfied, definitely we can say that Fourier transform exists. But if the condition is not satisfying, doesn't mean that Fourier transform does not exist. Okay, so signals which do not satisfy these conditions can have Fourier transform. We will see some examples later. So that's why it's a sufficient condition but not necessary. Without using this equation, some properties, or with the help of some other signals, I can find, or we can find the Fourier transform. That's why it's a sufficient condition but not necessary. Okay, and we will do such kind of problems. Anyway, Dirichlet condition is very important. The In most of the cases, we will evaluate the first statement x of t is whether it is absolutely integrable or not. Okay. If the signal is converging, definitely there is it's absolutely integrable. Now we'll discuss another concept, that is a Fourier spectrum or Fourier spectrum. And if you consider the signal x of j omega, in most of the cases we'll get the equation as a complex number. So there will be two parts, the real part and the imaginary part. If you write in terms of in complex expression, there will be two parts, that is real component and imaginary component, because the Fourier transform x of j omega is normally a complex value, so it will be something like a plus jb. That's why it's written x xr of j omega plus j xi of j omega. So it contains two parts, real part and imaginary part. So if the number is complex, or the equation is complex, definitely you can represent in two different form, that is a rectangular form and the polar form. Okay, so this is a rectangular form. Now we can find another representation, that is a magnitude angle form. That is x of j omega can be represented as modulus of x of j omega into e raised to j phi of omega, where phi of omega is the angle of x of j omega. So from this you can find the modulus or the magnitude, simply taking the real part, that is a square plus b square. So this is the magnitude of x of j omega. And angle you can calculate, angle of x of j omega, either you can write angle of x of j omega, or we can use another notation as phi of omega, which is simply tan inverse imaginary part by real part. So imaginary part is x of j omega by real, xr of j omega. So in magnitude angle form, we can write the quantity like this: x of j omega is equal to modulus of x of j omega into e raised to j angle. Okay, angle is either you can represent angle of x of j omega or phi of omega. So here phi of omega means the angle of this quantity x of j omega. And the spectrum of Fourier transform means actually two different graph. That is, we can plot a graph with respect to omega for modulus of x of j omega. And this particular graph is normally known as the magnitude spectrum. So the magnitude spectrum means is modulus of x of j omega versus omega graph. And phase spectrum means in x-axis we will take omega, and in y-axis the angle of x of j omega, or we can call it as phi of omega. So angle versus omega, here magnitude versus omega. And These two graphs collectively known as the spectrum of a signal. That's a frequency domain representation, or we'll get a graphical view of the frequency domain. Okay. Usually, the signal x of t will be plotted in time domain. Okay, that is in x-axis t. That is a time domain analysis. This is the time domain. So here you can see it's in frequency domain. So when you do the problems of Fourier transform, make sure that whether you are using the variable omega or t. Okay. And one more point with respect to this spectra, the amplitude spectrum is an even function, and phase spectrum is an odd function. Okay, it's an odd function of omega. So you will get even function for modulus quantities, and for phase spectrum or angle you will get an odd function. Okay, it's all about spectrum. So make sure that you are comfortable with all these concept. Now we'll discuss one question. We need to find the Fourier transform, continuous time Fourier transform. Usually we will not represent CTFT, continuous time Fourier transform. And here the signal is given by x of t raised to minus 18 into u of t. And if you plot the signal is given in time domain. So x of t, it's exponential signal, exponentially decaying signal e raised to minus at into u of t. So signal exists only in the positive side. So this is an exponentially decaying signal. And the signal exists only on the positive side because we are multiplying with u of t. This is the exponentially decaying signal and one-sided exponential signal. Okay, we can call it as a one-sided exponentially decaying signal. Now we need to find the Fourier transform of the signal. So the equation you can write x of j omega is equal to integral minus infinity to infinity x of t into e raised to minus j omega t dt. So in this particular formula, I can substitute the signal. So it becomes integral minus infinity to infinity e raised to minus at into u of t into e raised to minus j omega t dt. And we know that the signal u of t or the given signal exists only in the positive side because u of t means 1 for t greater than 0 and 0 for t less than 0. Okay, and this is a waveform for u of t which exists only in the positive side, or by observing this waveform x of t is equal to e raised to minus 18 u of t, it's clear that it exists only in positive side. So we can simplify the integration only for the positive side. So we can start from 0 onwards, 0 to infinity, e raised to minus at, and u of t is 1 in this duration into e raised to minus j omega t dt. Now, if you group this, it becomes 0 to infinity, e raised to minus a plus j omega t dt. We know that the variable is t. Now we can integrate this. So it becomes e raised to minus a plus j omega t divided by minus a plus j omega. And the limit is from 0 to infinity. Now we can apply the limit. So this is a common term. And if you apply the limit infinity, it becomes e raised to minus infinity. And if you apply the limit 0, it becomes e raised to 0. E raised to 0 is 1, e raised to minus infinity is, see, e raised to 0 is 1, and e raised to minus infinity means 1 by e raised to infinity. E raised to infinity is infinity, so which is tending to 0. So if you rearrange this, here you can put 0, here it is 1. So it becomes minus 1, and minus minus plus 1. So the finally you'll get a plus j omega. That is x of j omega. It simply you can write 1 by a plus j omega. So this is a Fourier transform of the signal x of t is equal to e raised to minus at into u of t. It's a standard signal, so please remember these results. Okay, and we got some equations, but we need to know about what is the spectrum of this particular signal. What will be the behavior of the signal in frequency domain? Time domain, it will be like this. It's an exponentially decaying signal, and we need to plot this 1 by a plus j omega. It's a complex signal, so we need to represent it in the a plus jb form. Now it is given as 1 by a plus jb, but if you know it's in a plus jb form, then only you can find the magnitude and angle. So we can multiply this signal, numerator and denominator, with 1 minus a j omega. So a plus j omega into a minus j omega. Okay, to not to make it in the normal form, a plus jb form. So you'll get a minus j omega. The denominator, it is a square plus omega square. So you'll get a by a square plus omega square minus j omega by a square plus omega square. Now we got a quantity which is the normal complex number form. This is the real quantity and this is the imaginary quantity. Okay. Now we can find the magnitude modulus of x of j omega. Okay. If you find the modulus quantity, it's the root of real quantity is a square by a square plus omega square the whole square, plus it's actually minus omega the whole square. So minus omega the whole square by a square plus omega square the whole square. So if you simplify this, you can write it simply a square plus omega square, denominator is a square plus omega square the whole square, and root. So you can write it simply root of 1 by root of a square plus omega square. Okay, or you can directly apply here. So if it is a complex number, you can find the magnitude by simply taking the magnitude of the numerator and the denominator separately. That's why also you can perform. That is x of j omega is given by 1 by a plus j omega. And if you want to find the modulus, take the modulus of the numerator. Modulus numerator is 1 plus j 0 simply. So take the modulus there. So it's simply 1 square plus 0 square divided by a square plus omega square. Okay, so you'll get 1 by root of a square plus omega square. Okay, now we need to find the angle. So angle of x of j omega. So we know it's tan inverse. The formula is tan inverse imaginary by real. That is xi of j omega part, then xr of j omega, imaginary part and real part. Here it's very important, there is a minus sign, so make sure that you are indicating that minus omega by a square plus omega square divided by a by a square plus omega square. So you can take this minus outside, so minus tan inverse and remaining as omega by a. Okay, this is all about the angle. And this is also we can apply in another way, in a simple way. If you know x of j omega, it's 1 plus j0 by a plus j omega. When you calculate the angle, take the calculate the angle of the numerator, that is tan inverse 0 by 1, and the denominator it's tan inverse omega by a. Okay, so the numerator angle is 0, tan inverse 0, and denominator is tan inverse omega by a. And after that you can write numerator angle minus denominator angle. So it becomes 0 minus tan inverse omega by e. So simply tan inverse omega by e. Okay. So if you're comfortable, the second it will be very easy. So please study the operations of complex number, then it will be very easy to calculate. So we got 1 by root of a square plus omega square and minus tan inverse omega by a. Now we need to plot the signal, uh, plot the spectrum. First we will plot the magnitude spectrum. Magnitude spectrum. So when you plot the magnitude spectrum, so we don't record any exact values. We'll plot with respect to omega, and here the modulus of x of j omega. And modulus of x of j omega is simply a square plus omega square. Okay, and we don't know the value of a, so we can assume some random values also. Okay, we can try omega for different values of and we can substitute here. So this is omega axis. So assume that if it is 0, you will get 1 by a. Okay. Similarly, you can try for different values. So when omega is equal to 0, it's 1 by a. Or otherwise, we can try another method, that is, you can write the value of omega, and you can calculate the modulus of x of j omega and angle of x of j omega for different values. Okay, so you'll get some idea about the signal. And if you want to substitute a for some value, you can try that also. Assume that a is 0.5. Okay, then if omega is equal to 0, if you substitute here, it will get 1 by root of a square by omega square, and assume that a is 0.5. So we'll get it becomes 0.5, and here if you calculate the angle, you'll get 0. Similarly, you can try for different values. uh, Similarly, you can try for 1, so then you will get 0.44 something, and here angle becomes minus 26.5. Similarly, if you try some other values in the calculator, you will get a 3, 4, 5, etc. I already mentioned we don't require any exact value. I need an approximate graph. And similarly, you can try some 5. When you try 5, it's 0.185, and the angle is minus 68 degree. And similarly, if you continue, if you substitute infinity here, you can see that it's 1 by infinity, which is tending to 0. And here you can see the angle is minus tan inverse omega by a. So if omega is equal to infinity, it's minus tan inverse infinity. That is tan inverse infinity is pi, so you'll get minus pi. Okay, you got an idea about. See, it starts from 0.5 onwards, or 1 by a. Okay, this is 1 by a actually. Sorry, if you choose 2, you'll get 0.5. Sorry, if you choose a is equal to 2, you'll get something like this. Okay, anyway, you got the idea that because already we mentioned that a is greater than 0. So when it is 0, 1, 5, you can see that it's drastically changing to 0.185 from 0.5. So the shape will be like this. It's decreasing, and we know that it's an even function, so you'll get exactly same behavior on the negative side also. So this is the magnitude spectrum of the signal. When omega reaches infinity, the function magnitude becomes 0. So this is a standard signal. The spectrum will be like this. And when you discuss about the angle, okay, this is actually magnitude spectrum. Now we need to plot the phase spectrum. Phase spectrum means we need to plot with respect to omega angle of x of j omega, or phi of omega. So from this you can see that when omega values are positive, When omega values are positive, the angle is negative, and when omega reaches infinity, it becomes minus 5. So it will be like this. When it is 0, it's 0, and see, after reaches 5, it's around minus 68. So it reaches a high value and it will be like this, and when it reaches infinity, it becomes minus pi. Okay, and not minus pi, it's minus pi by 2. Okay, 90 degree. Okay, it's minus pi by 2. Sorry, here also it's minus pi by 2. And it's an odd function. So phase spectrum is always an odd function. So for real signals, so you'll get exactly opposite waveform in the negative side. So it will be plus pi by 2. Sorry, it's not minus pi, it's pi by 2 and minus pi by 2 because it's a 90 degree. Okay. So this is the spectrum of the signal. Okay. So magnitude spectrum and phase spectrum. Now we'll discuss another question, that is impulse signal x of t is equal to del of t, and we need to find the continuous time Fourier transform. So the CTFT equation is x of j omega is equal to integral minus infinity to infinity x of t into e raised to minus j omega t dt. And if you substitute del of t here, del of t e raised to minus j omega t dt. So we know the property of impulse signal. If if you perform this operation uh, by using the property of the impulse, it's simply x of 0. Okay, x of, if you integrate the signal minus infinity to infinity, x of t into del of t dt, it's simply x of 0. So, or we can call it as this integration exists only at t is equal to 0. So if you substitute e raised to 0, it's e raised to 0, that is equal to 1. And we don't want to evaluate this integral because del of t exists only at t is equal to 0. And now we got the Fourier transform. Impulse signal del of t means which exists only at t is equal to 0. So this is a continuous time impulse signal whose area is equal to 1. Okay, this is the impulse signal. Now if you plot or if you find the transform of this signal, it's simply 1. That is, if you plot the magnitude x of j omega, it's again 1. And angle of x of j omega means tan inverse imaginary by real. Here it's only real quantity. So if you calculate tan inverse something, you will get 0. Okay. So if you plot the magnitude spectrum, with respect to omega, modulus of x of j omega, you can see that it's 1. So there is no omega term. So you can say that it's a constant waveform like this. There's always 1 irrespective of omega. Okay. And if you plot the phase spectrum, for different values of omega, angle of x of j omega, it's simply 0, always 0. Okay. And very interesting thing, if you look at the signal at the time domain, which exists only at t is equal to 0, and if you analyze the frequency component of this particular signal, because here we are plotting the signal omega, that's actually frequency. So if you observe the frequency of the signal, so there is a frequency component of 0, omega is 1, then there is a magnitude omega is equal to 2, means This impulse signal contain infinite number of frequency component, infinite number of frequency component. So, or it contain all the frequency. Okay. So if you look at this particular signal, omega is constant. For different values of omega, the magnitude is constant, means it contain all frequency in equal amount. Okay. So it's a very interesting fact. At the time domain, signal exists only at t is equal to 0, but in the frequency domain, if you observe the signal, it contain all the frequencies. Okay. That's the importance of impulse signal. Okay, if you observe the previous signal, an exponentially decaying signal, if you observe the spectrum, you can see that it contain only low frequency components. See here, omega is increasing in this direction. So if you observe the magnitude, here you can see that the most of the signal amplitude is concentrated in the lower side. And when the frequency increases, the amplitude is low. So higher frequency component are less in this particular waveform. So this signal contain low frequency mainly. X of t is equal to e raised to minus 18 into u of t mainly contain low frequency components. So if you observe the magnitude spectrum, you can see that this is omega axis, and the signal amplitude in the spectrum, you can see is mostly concentrated on the lower frequency range from 0 to some low frequency value. When frequency increases, the amplitude is decreasing. So we can conclude that this is a low frequency signal. Thank you.